Hello and welcome to Wisdom Wednesdays, where we focus in on the biblical Old Testament book of Proverbs, aiming to memorize and meditate on the Proverbs and to gain the wisdom in there, to grow in wisdom within ourselves. That's the aim. Today we're talking about Proverbs chapter 10, verse 1, and here's what it says. A wise child brings joy to a father. A foolish child brings grief to a mother. When I saw this one, I didn't even try to see if I could scrunch a few verses together for this week. It's just so true, right? While we don't want to be all sexist and ascribe specific types of reactions and behaviors to only one gender and not the other, still, note the way the scripture split this. First, a wise child brings joy to a father. Can we agree that in general, a large percentage of moms think their kids are amazing, both when they are amazing and when they're not so much? Moms tend to be softies. We can name exceptions, but it looks to me like in general, dads tend to have clearer eyes when it comes to spotting wisdom or the lack thereof in their kids, and perhaps tend to appreciate evidence of wisdom a bit more fully than moms do. And then the second part says, a foolish child brings grief to a mother. Again, not to play to stereotypes, but a pretty hefty majority of moms, at least as far as I can tell, tend to take it more to heart when their kid is undeniably messing up. There's more fear, more brokenheartedness, more tendency to blame oneself for the choices the child is making or to take it personally as a personal affront. It looks to me like a lot of dads derive a bit less of their own identity and value, personal value, from the successes or failures of their children, and are more likely to be able to calmly ride it out and wait for things to get better when foolishness is happening. Like, your dad can know that you're a jerk and still be mostly okay, while maybe your mom is seriously stressing about how to bring you out of jerk mode, right? I know. There are exceptions to these rules. They are stereotypes. But you know where we get stereotypes, right? By observing general behavior. And really, in the end, if it bothers us that much, you can just take gender right out of the equation, and this proverb still absolutely makes sense. Think about it. A wise child brings joy to the parents, and a foolish child brings grief to the parents. See, no gender. Still true. Certainly, I've experienced bringing grief to my parents from my own foolishness. And the beauty of a healthy parent's love is that the grief doesn't dim that love. It's a wonderful, wonderful thing. Certainly, I've experienced seeing my parents' gladness and experiencing their gladness when I turned away from more foolish things and started correcting toward wisdom. And certainly as a parent, I've known the grief of watching foolishness in my kids at some point or another. And I can testify that it makes you feel pretty helpless. Am I right? And I've experienced the joy of watching wisdom in my kids. And that's a good, good joy. May we all bring joy to our parents and experience joy in our kids. And where that's not the case, thank God for the possibility of redemption and the enormity of grace and the truth that His mercies are new every morning. And if your relationship with your parents or with your children is such that this message just touches a really raw nerve, or you don't have kids, so this is just making you sad all over, I am praying for you while I post this video. Think of the good people in your life who have filled some semblance of a parental role in your life, or think of young people in your life who feel kind of like children of your heart, people that you've been able to speak into their lives and be some sort of a good influence, and just look for the truth there, rather than dwelling on relationships or situations that are too broken for a clear thought or a warm comfort at this exact point in your passage. So let's say this proverb 3 times quickly to start working it into our memories. A wise child brings joy to the father. A foolish child brings grief to a mother. And again, a wise child brings joy to a father. A foolish child brings grief to a mother. And one more time. A wise child brings joy to a father. A foolish child brings grief to a mother. Go out into your week aiming to bring joy and not grief to whoever in your world is affected by your choices. I will do the same, and I will see you next time, wise ones.